Hello and welcome to the Spectre Approved podcast, where two Bioware fans play through games and tell you how good they are. I'm your host Adam, and I'm joined by my co-host Fenris. How are you?
I'm doing alright, how are you?
Yeah, great man. Thank you for being able to record with me tonight.
Sure, no
because
problem.
In case you couldn't tell from our accents, we're both on opposite ends of the world, so scheduling can be difficult. However, luckily, we're both pretty flex with our schedules. You with your mornings, me with my nights. So thank you. Yeah, once again, man. Thanks for joining me.
It's no problem whatsoever.
So, like the title of the podcast says, dear listeners, Fenris and I are both Bioware fans. However, this podcast isn't going to just be talking about that. So this is more of our episode 0, where we'll set up for the season. We've each picked 5 games or 5 series of games, of which we'll put into a draft. So we'll each put forward 5 games or 5 series of games to each other, and those will go into the wheel or the name wheel generator, and that will spin and choose what we play first and then next. We do each have a veto. Because I know, Fenris, you put in the Steam Machine podcast Discord recently that you rolled a random game in a series I absolutely do not want to play, so I'm praying that isn't on your list, if you know which one I mean.
I think I do.
So we'll see if it comes up. I probably won't end up using a veto, just because every game does have its merits, but we'll just see. So, before we get into that, however, we'll let you guys know about us. So, Fenris, are you a long-time gamer?
I am. My first video game was way back in the mid-90s. My sister had a Super Nintendo, and I was all the time playing on it. Like Donkey Kong, Lion King. It was mostly the first Mortal Kombat, and there was something else. I can't remember what it. Super Mario.
Yeah, cool. A great first console to have, really.
Yeah.
Yeah. And what kind of got you into Bioware yourself? Because I know we've talked, before we talked about doing the podcast together, we talked about Bioware a lot, like when the Mass Effect Legendary Edition got released, and I know we had some good discourse back and forth with Dragon Age the Vanguard.
I might be wrong in this, but I think my first Bioware game was probably Dragon Age Origins, and it was just the game that I picked up because it had a dragon on the logo, because they're my favorite animal, really. So I picked it up just on a whim, and I fucking loved it. I played nothing but that game for an entire year, and I played through that, and then I played through 2, and 2 had a DLC code for Mass Effect 2, and I had always planned on picking that up, but then I never did until much later.
Yeah, cool. Okay. So as for myself, I have kind of done a full circle with my gaming, because I started out, my first kind of foray into gaming was on mum and dad's home PC, like it was for a lot of kids in Australia. Everybody kind of, well, at least in my circle, everybody kind of came to the consoles late. Like, a few people had Mega Drives no one really had a SNES in my friendship group growing up. Everyone kind of had PCs. And if anyone listened to my previous podcast, you'd know that one of the first games on that PC was Wolfenstein 3D, which was a terrible game for I think I was 6 or 7 year old to be playing as their first game. My dad must have been into shareware because it had all those ones as well, like Commander Keen, and I think it was Lynx, the golf game that was on Windows 3.1. So it was an old because he used to work in the government sector. It was an repurposed government computer, so it must have had all that shareware shit on it anyway. And then I got my first Nintendo 64, and it was basically consoles from then on out till I bought a PC that can actually play things early last year, and that got me back into PC gaming. Now everything's on the PC. The Xbox Series X and the PS5 sit gathering dust because majority of things I can play on them, I can play on this.
Yeah, I've got a shiny new PS5 sitting out in the living room that hasn't been touched in a long time.
Yeah, nice. What's worse probably is that my 10-year-old son uses it to play Fortnite and that's Fortnite and Warzone, and that's what he specifically uses it to play, nothing else. And I'm just like, dude, alright, we need to start getting you into some RPGs. But that's kind of where my love for Bioware also started, because I didn't realise it until I started going through the Bioware back catalogue. But I actually played Neverwinter Nights would have been my first foray into Bioware, but it wasn't what made me fall in love with Bioware, because I had a few CRPGs growing up, but definitely because it was turn-based, I didn't like it at all. I'm like, why am I clicking so many times and my character isn't attacking? I just bloody hate it. So it wasn't until Mass Effect 1 that I really started enjoying Bioware and really delving into the worlds and the systems there. So I was on leave from work over the Christmas break of 06, 07. I bought a Xbox 360, and it came with a bundle of Forza and Viva Pinata, I think, at the time. I traded those both in as soon as I got the bundle and picked up Bioshock, Assassin's Creed, and Mass Effect. And I didn't really know what Mass Effect was, because I don't know if the title's the same in the US and North America, but the cover art for Mass Effect 1 doesn't look great at all. It's got the Gennaro John Shepard with the Marine haircut, actually in the armor and the helmet, and it just looks really like 70s sci-fi almost. Yeah. But it had something that a lot of games in Australia didn't have with the classification warning, which was sex scenes. And being a 18-year-old male, I was like, ooh, sex in my games. This looks great. I'll pick this up.
See, that was kind of me with God of War.
Yep. Animated boobs all day. So, yeah, I picked it up, got it for that reason, but then the story and the combat in it just blew me away. So I was like, ooh, I need to find out more from this team, because the character interactions as well were what really was the strength of the series. So then I picked up Dragon Age shortly after that, and it must have been around the time, the complete edition, because it came with all the DLC and Awakening, and I just really dove into that as well. And whilst the combat was completely different from Mass Effect, again, just the characters and the world drew me in, and since then I've just basically consumed everything that they've put forward, including like comics. I've seen the terrible Mass Effect animated movie, Paragon Lost, and just been into a complete shill. Like, I picked up Valguard, pre-ordered Valguard, and have basically played everything except Andromeda to completion.
Andromeda is such a great game.
Yeah, well, we'll get there. So, I want to give it a go. I really got held into the hype of the media at the time.
Yeah. I mean, the same could also be said. The same for Cyberpunk. Cyberpunk had a really rocky media release. Everybody was just dragging it, but that is also another fantastic game.
Yeah, that's definitely one on my backlog. I can confidently say it's not on my list though. I've got an Xbox One version rocking around that I picked up for about $10. So I don't know how that would ever go. I might need to pick up a PC version somewhere.
Probably. I firmly believe that it is best played on PC. I feel like, generally speaking, a computer could probably handle most games better than older generation consoles.
Yep. And that's what I feel, having at least a mid-range PC now, that even stuff that has a console port, most things run a heck of a lot better on it.
Yeah, and it's just the upgradability with computers. I myself am running a 4070 with I don't even remember what chip I've got, but I mean I'm set for the next 5 years, and I can play most of the new releases that are being released today. So I'm good. But then again, you know, the majority of my gaming, like I said, is on my my computer. So unfortunately, all the free games that I've been picking up on the PlayStation Network have just been collecting dust. And I feel guilty for buying it and not ever playing it.
That's why we start podcasts, isn't it? To delve into our backlogs and actually get stuff done. So that's kind of our history and what kind of led us here. I think we've actually had a couple of conversations about starting a podcast at different points, because we both love anime as well.
Yeah.
And I did have aspirations of starting an anime podcast at one point, but it's a very different medium.
Yes.
Talking about watching something is a lot different than talking about playing it, because everybody has the same experience from watching something as opposed to differing endings in the games.
That, and I feel like if you're going to do an anime podcast, you probably need a better setup. It's probably better as a visual medium where you could watch along like a reaction channel or something like that.
Yeah, most definitely. So, before we jump into the draft though, Fenris, I just wanted to ask, is there anything interesting that you're playing right now?
Honestly, not really. I just bought the Elder Scrolls Oblivion 4, or Elder Scrolls 4 Oblivion game, but I haven't really dived into that. The majority of my game time is spent in Final Fantasy XIV. That's not on my list, don't worry.
Well, yeah, we'll see, like I said.
But I mean, not really. The game that you didn't want to play is the game that I'm trying to get back into, which is Resident Evil, and play through that series. Because I never actually finished 8, and I never played the 3 remake. So I figured I would just go ahead and play through all of it.
Yeah, cool. I don't have anything specific against Resident Evil. I actually own them all, which is part of my curse. I own all these games that I'm probably never going to play, or hate myself as I play through them. But I own every Resident Evil except for Village. So, like, even if it did come up, it's like I've got them there, ready to go. Cool. So now we'll jump straight into the draft. You can go first if you like. So these are 5 games or 5 game series that we each want to play for this season of the show.
So I think I'm going to go in chronological order, in order of release.
Yep.
And just go with the Final Fantasy series.
Right.
And then
Great.
Probably the next one that came out was Chrono Cross, and then Legend of Dragoon, Resident Evil, and then the newest iterations of the Star Wars series, which is the Jedi Fallen Order and Jedi Survival.
Ooh, nice.
And I believe that's 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, yeah.
Excellent. Was there anything about those ones in particular that spoke to you that made you want to kind of get them off the backlog and play them, and more specifically talk about them?
I've always wanted to play through the Final Fantasy games, and when the Pixel remasters released, I played through 4 of them, and I started the 5th one, but I never finished it. I've played through 7, 8, most of 12, some of 13, all of 14, all of 15, and then I started 16, and then, as fantastic of a game as it is, I put it down and just never picked it back up. And then Chrono Cross is probably my favorite original PlayStation game, followed very closely by Legend of Dragoon, which it's either going to be found out on the high seas or, like me, purchased through PlayStation Network.
Yeah, I was going to say it's had not a re-release potentially, but it came to the PlayStation Store for PS5 recently. Is that what it came up in my news?
Yeah, Legend of Dragoon did not have a very good sales number, from what I understand, and but it has amassed one of those cult followings, and everybody who has, I would like to say the majority of everybody who has played the game has absolutely fucking loved it, and I'm one of them. And yeah, they haven't remastered it or anything, but there is a version on the PlayStation Network that you can purchase. I think it's like $10. And then there is someone who I can't remember his name, but he is working. Him and a group of cohorts are working on a remaster for the entire game. It's completely fan made, and so I'm waiting on that to drop so I can start on that all over again on computer.
Yeah. Well, hopefully that's released before it comes up on the wheel.
And then Resident Evil started. Like most of my love for games, and my brother-in-law had the director's cut of the original Resident Evil game, and I watched him play that, and I dabbled in it, and it scared the ever-loving crap out of me. So I played more and more and more of it, and I've just been a fan ever since. And then as far as the Jedi Survival and Fallen Order goes, I've always been a pretty big Star Wars fan. So, and then these new games that they released have just been absolutely amazing. And I really enjoyed the new character that they've introduced, and I like where story is going, and they're fantastic games.
Yep. Cool. So from what I've played from the first one, in that, yeah, Cal is a really great character to the series. So realistically, I'm looking forward to all those. I do just want to clarify though, are we only covering the mainline Final Fantasy games?
If we get to it, I don't think, unless we feel necessary, we don't have to go into 13.2 or Lightning Returns or any of those, the sequels. I have a promise made to another friend of mine that I will at some point play Tactics, but I also heard that there's a remake of Tactics coming out, or was announced, or was leaked, something.
Okay.
So I would like to play Tactics at some point, but no, mainline will be fine.
Cool. Except for 11. And look, when it comes to it, I'm more than happy to dive into at least the free content from 14. We can probably rope in a couple of other guests for 14 that have more knowledge than me. Like Mikolov or Dalton. They both seem very high up in the Final Fantasy 14 knowledge base. But I'm more than... Because there's a sizable amount of free content, isn't there?
Yeah, last I checked, it is... I've got the Meme Cup. Have you heard of the critically acclaimed MMORPG Final Fantasy XIV with an expanded free trial, which you can play through the entirety of A Realm Reborn and Heavensward? It's up to level 60, and I'm pretty sure that's about as far as they went, but I could be wrong. You might be able to get to 70 now, but the going to level 60 and you've got 2 whole expansions outside of the base game, it's more than enough to get your feet wet and feel the game.
Yeah, cool. I do have one request when it comes to Final Fantasy, and that's that we also cover Strangers of Paradise.
That is another game that I own that I would love to play.
Yeah. Sweet. Just because of its, I guess, without going into spoilers, connection to another game in the series. I'd really love to explore that as well, because from what I played, the small amount I played of that game.
See, I haven't, and that is a game that the media coverage of it was all over the place. I heard bad things, I heard good things, and I just stayed away from it until it, went on a good enough sale for me to buy it.
Yep. So, pretty RPG heavy with your picks, but again, that's fine. Before I delve into my picks, I just wanted to reiterate that because Fenris and I both love Bioware, Bioware games are getting a free go on the wheel without us having to waste any of our picks to play them. So on the wheel is Dragon Age series, Mass Effect series, KOTOR 1 and 2, through extension of the first one being Bioware. And we can do the same for Baldur's Gate 1, 2 and 3, with the first 2 being from Bioware. And they're the only ones I put down. They were the only ones from Bioware that kind of stood out that I wanted to play or play again. If you do find Fenris that there are anywhere from the Bioware back catalogue that you want to add to the wheel, just let me know.
There's one, but it is another MMO. So, no, it's Star Wars, The Old Republic. Yeah.
Oh, yep. Yeah, well, that can technically can fall under
casual. Oh, yeah, it can. Because what is it, the Jedi Knight story in that game is a spiritual successor of KOTOR 2. So...
Yeah, cool. Well, I think, because I've got the Steam version of KOTOR 2, and we'll cover it more when we get to the episode, but KOTOR 2 was my first foray into the series on original Xbox, which of course was the one that had all the cut content and was basically cut into a million pieces and then pasted hastily back together, because they had that pretty shocking development phase and had to get it out the door. So now I've got the Steam edition. We can play it with the content put back in from the lovely modding community who found that code and played the complete experience there, which I'm looking forward to.
So go ahead.
So now go ahead.
I was just gonna say, KOTOR in itself is just. I tried to get back into it a couple years ago, and it's such a janky game. But that story.
Yeah. Yep. Well, again, hopefully the remake comes out before it comes up on the wheel. But because that's been back and forth as well. I think there's a couple of games I'm waiting for. KOTOR is one of them. I'm also waiting for Vampire the Masquerade Bloodlines 2. Which I remembered I pre-ordered back when they announced it for the Xbox One PS4. And then cancelled my pre-order because I'm like, this game's never coming out.
Yeah, it seems to be in limbo.
That's a very nice way of putting it. So, my first pick for this one, I haven't done release order. I've kind of looked at it in terms of order that I want to play them, reverse order. So this first pick, whilst it's not the one that I'm burning to play, it's very interesting in the fact that it's Bioware if it was made by an indie developer, I'd like to say, and that's the series of Greedfall. So this was developed by Spiders, which was a very small development team. Has a lot of themes of colonialism and meeting a team, going to an island, meeting a team, and kind of working through the problems there and choosing a side. Have you ever heard of this game at all, Fenris?
I'm looking at it now, and it seems familiar, but I don't remember it.
Yeah, it was one of those RPGs that sounded great, but then just disappeared from the marketing and kind of review space, and then it dropped. It came out, no one really saw it, and then it just kind of went away. But it's got a sequel at the moment that's in alpha on Steam. Still a paid alpha, which I'm not a fan of, so I don't know if we'll actually cover the sequel if it comes up. But the first game, at least, is really interesting, and I think will be really interesting to talk about just from the DNA that I think it shares with a lot of Bioware games, even if it ends up falling short of the mark in itself. So that's my first pick there, Greedfall. The second one is a shooter series, which I don't know how you feel about that. Don't know how you feel about shooters. But it's the series Fear. Again, it's a series that isn't really generic and falls into the genre of, I think, more horror shooter. It's got some very interesting mechanics. It definitely moves, whilst you play a government agent tracking down nasties, it really moves away from the Halo kind of COD sphere, falls more into the Crisis type of shooter, if I had to describe it. Does a lot of interesting things with combat, and the first one at least has a really interesting story. I haven't played the 2 sequels, but I really want to, so that's why that one's on the list. And then next up, a big boy like you chose Final Fantasy, so I'm going to choose Assassin's Creed. I've got a lot of love, a lot of history with this series. Bought majority of the games day one up till about Syndicate, because I was a late adopter of the Xbox One PS4 generation and didn't have a good PC at the time. Played Syndicate, absolutely hated it, fell off it, didn't go back for a number of years until around Valhalla released. I then played Origins, loved it, and proceeded to buy the one about Greek Odyssey, Origins, Valhalla, all in one go. Haven't touched Valhalla though. Own Mirage, pre-ordered Shadows, haven't played either of them yet.
Well, I don't know if it's a good thing, but I haven't heard too much about Mirage, and I haven't heard anything about Shadows.
Yeah. So, this one was also on your list at one point, wasn't it? Yeah. What's your kind of exposure to the series?
Back when the original Assassin's Creed game dropped for, 360, a friend of mine had it, and he absolutely loved it. So, because we were living in the same place, we were borrowing games, and that was one of the games that I borrowed, and, I sadly became an achievement hunter on my Xbox. So, I had a very few frustrating weeks hunting down the 100 flags and all that, but outside of that, the story was really good. The gameplay was, at the time, amazing, but that was my introduction to Assassin's Creed, where it should have been at the very beginning, and I was a fan of Assassin's Creed up until, spoiler alert, Connor died, and, or no, not Connor, sorry, Desmond. After that, I feel like the games just kind of went downhill, and then they released Assassin's Creed 4 Black Flag, and the ship combat changed everything. And then after that, I never really picked up another one. But that was always a series that I wanted to get back into, and I did. A couple years ago, there was a huge Assassin's Creed sale on the PlayStation Network, and I think I got all the games up to Odyssey for like $60-70. So I was like, that's kind of a steal, so I'm gonna buy that.
That might have even been the same sale where I got everything in the new generation of Assassin's Creed as well, except for Xbox. But yeah, this will be one where we definitely only play the mainline series as well. There's a bunch of shitty spin-offs and ports. A lot of DS, PSP, Vita type things that have spawned off it, just because Ubisoft, as we know, love to make money. So they just pumped out all these craptastic kind of spin-off games that I've dabbled with, but never liked. So And I don't feel particularly strongly about Ubisoft as a company and their practices, which is why I hate that I buy these games day one. But
yeah, there's something to be said about that, because they really are a terrible, terrible company, but they have put out some really good games.
yeah, I almost had the Far Cry series on here as well, because that's another series I'd love to play more of. But I thought, nah, you know what? One Ubisoft franchise is enough.
Fair enough.
So the next series that I've put down is one that I've had a real tumultuous relationship with, real love-hate. Only finished 2 games in the series, although there's 5 mainline, but again, lots of cool spin-offs and remakes, I'll say, some of which I wouldn't mind exploring, and that's the Persona series. So at first I had this as Persona / SMT, and I'm like, I'm going to kill Fenris if I put both. Ooh, I heard a sigh. You don't know Persona?
It's just not a series I've been particularly keen to play. I know them. They're just games that are not on my radar. But everyone I've ever talked to about them says that they're fantastic and that I need to at least try them out.
Yep. Well, you can veto it.
No,
if you really want.
it's fine. They're games that I feel like I have to experience. So, and plus that new iteration that just came out released, and it's a game that I would like to play. And you know, what's it called? The Persona in a fantasy setting that isn't school. Metaphor. That's it.
Yeah, Metaphor was fantastic. Again, a bit of the same, as Persona, but in different ways, I think. A lot of Persona fans that I've talked to have definitely thought that it wasn't as strong. And I think going back to Persona 1, which was on PS1 or 2, I want to say, will be a really good experience for both of us, because I've only ever played from Persona 3 upwards, which had all the modern good and bad things about it, which is the social links and the underage romance, which has both been a lot of people's love and also contention with the series. However, I think going back to the darkness and the demon catching and the demon fusing, hopefully, of Persona 1 and 2 might start us off on a better foot if the romance or problematic type of social links were what was drawing you away from it.
There wasn't anything specific keeping me away from the games. They were just never on my radar as games to play.
Okay. Cool. Well, yeah, we'll see how we go. And my final pick, which is a dual one, so we can discuss what kind of aspect we want to look at this, is the Drakengard series, and by extension, Neo.
Those are games that have been on my list. I don't have Drakengard, but I do have Automata.
Yep. Cool. Well, we're probably going to have to go to Emuland for the Drakengards, because I think they were PS2 exclusives. But I've got Automata and...
Revenant, I think it was.
What was it? Yeah, it was just released as Nier for the version I have, because it was the Xbox 360 one. But there has been a remake that'll be pretty easy to pick up that's on sale. I think Kana gave me... Shout out to Kana, actually. She gave me the newest Nier for my Secret Santa in Steam Machine
nice.
last year. So we'll definitely have a way to play them. But yeah, they're just super interesting series, very weird, very cool. So looking forward to that, definitely.
Same. Oh, apparently there's an anime.
With those 10...
apparently there's an anime.
Oh, yeah, there is. Yeah, 2-season anime of Automata. Haven't watched it, because I'm pretty sure it just mirrors the game. And they never do too well. And look, if you find you are really struggling with Persona 3, 4, and 5, getting through them, because they are about 100-hour experiences, there are anime of them as well, that we might just be able to talk about that instead, if the game's really getting us down. That's a beautiful thing with games. There's an anime normally for some of them. I think there's even Final Fantasy somewhere.
I know you won't be able to get much out of it, but I know that there is there's a movie, and then I think it's a small 3-episode series for 15. But that's only because of the way that they did the lore of that game, because if you play 15, you're only going to experience half of the lore. The rest is in a book, a companion book, the movie, the series, the very dead Battle Royale game that also released for it. So...
yes, we will hear about my frustrations with Final Fantasy 15 when we get there. Because I have my opinions on it. Particularly with not so much media that is a companion to a game, but media that you need to consume to understand a game. I had a very, very similar problem with the recently released Unknown 9 Awakening. Came out either this year or late last year. Absolutely loved the game, but I had no fucking idea what was going on. And then I looked online and realised, there's all these companion bullshit things, like a webcomic and a series and a podcast of all things that you needed to listen to, that told the surrounding story, that gave a lot of context. So anything that kind of does that is immediately a no.
It's understandable.
But I love the combat in Final Fantasy 15, so I'll give it that much. Alright, so now we are up to our wheel, of which we have 14 entries. And for everyone, because this is a audio medium, I'll put the winning screenshot of our wheel, just so you know that Fenris and I didn't fudge it, which is the Discord link, bit.ly/TSMP Discord, all caps, just so you know we're not cheating and playing something that we want to. And I'm also sharing my screen with Fenris right now, so he can see. Alright, so we'll spin this bad boy.
Boom. Assassin's Creed.
Oh, good pick. Okay, yes. So for episode 1 of Spectre Approved, we will be covering the first Assassin's Creed. Excellent. Now, do you have a way to play
I
this?
believe I do.
Okay. If not,
I do. I have it on Steam.
Excellent. As do I. I picked it. Actually, no, I lie. I picked it up on GOG very recently for a very good price. So shout out to GOG.
I've got the first 3 games on Steam, and the rest I can do on PlayStation. I might have the first one on the original, or on PlayStation as well.
Yep, I've got the collector's edition on Xbox 360, which yeah. First lot of collector's edition, I didn't come with too much, just a steelbook. I think because the series hadn't really found its feet. But the next couple, because I got 2 and Brotherhood Collector's Editions, came with some very nice Ezio statues that I display in my notes.
That friend of mine I mentioned before has the... I think he's got more than one, but the one that comes to mind is the Connor one from 3.
Yeah, nice. Yep. Yeah, that was a good statue from memory. That's when I started really delving into the digital landscape, I think. And collector's editions were becoming ridiculously expensive, so I kind of
I think my first and only collector's edition, back when physical games were the only medium, was Skyrim.
Yeah, cool. Yep. Of the 6
the very first one for 360.
Yep.
Because it came with the Alduin statue, and I had to have it.
Yeah, great. That's cool. Alright, well, thank you everyone for listening to episode 0 of Spectre Approved. If you'd like to come out and hang out with us, we do have a Discord, but we are part of the wider Steam Machine network, so please see the show notes for all the other wonderful shows there. However, if you go on over to the Discord, which is again bit.ly/TSMP Discord, all caps, which will also be in the show notes, head on over there, join up. It's an automatic join link. You'll come meet a bunch of cool people, including us. I'm also working on socials, getting up and running for the show. All the big ones, apart from I guess we'll still do X. X is still current, isn't it? But Blue Sky, Instagram, all those other ones there. And that is it. So once again, thank you very much for joining me tonight, Fenris, or this morning. Thank you for waking up early. Cool. And Fenris and I both have very busy lives, so we're going to try and keep recording as scheduled as possible, but we do want to complete these games because endings in particular with a lot of the games we have chosen are important to, I guess, the overall zeitgeist of the conversations we'll be having, so we don't want to kill ourselves trying to play these games in 1 or 2 weeks, so there may be spaced out episodes there. However, there will be mini-sodes that will come out, which might be me doing a solo episode, Fenris doing a solo episode, either of us with a guest of the show covering other games to kind of not stay away from you guys for too long. So, once again, everyone, thank you for listening. This is Spectre Approved, and happy gaming.